All right, this is your local elections to find out about your local Republican candidate running for office in your area. So, this is Jonathan Westbrook running for Congress in Kansas's 3rd Congressional District. So, how are you today, Jonathan?
Doing great. You're doing great. Really good. Thank you. I appreciate it. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Well, thank you for
Good.
asking.
Good.
The first thing I wanted to ask you was what made you decide to run for Congress?
Yeah. So I've had an amazing and blessed life, to be honest. 16 years in law enforcement, serving the community. Have been able to work in various offices at both the state and the local level. And a couple of years ago, I was granted the opportunity to serve as a White House fellow, and had the opportunity of working in the Domestic Policy Council, the Office of American Innovation, the Small Business Administration, as well as the Office of Public Engagement. And it was in those offices that I got a chance to see great policy being written, executed, and the positive effects it was having on our economy, and education, and just the overall well-being of America. So I served in 2020 through 2021 in the previous presidential administration, and I also had a chance to also serve in the current administration. The program was only a year long, and so after being up there for a year, came back home to Kansas City, continued my career in law enforcement and involvement in both local and state government offices. And it was that time from the previous administration to where we are today, that seeing the decline in the economy, seeing the decline in the America's policies, and just seeing where we are today, and knowing that I've been blessed with both the education, the experience, and the desire and passion to serve first. That's what's driven this purpose or this passion behind running for the third congressional district. I believe I have a very unique set of experiences that can solve a lot of the issues, or not necessarily solve, but at least aim us back in the right direction, get us back on track, where families aren't having to struggle as hard to put food on their tables, put fuel in their cars, making sure that their education that our children are receiving is going to be beneficial to them in the long term. And so these are things that troubled me, that I've seen the decline in, and that I want to work towards and work with others to make better. So that is the purpose and passion behind my desire of running, is first to serve, but also knowing that I've been blessed with a very unique set of skills and experiences that I do believe that will assist me and working with both sides of the aisle, working with everyone across the third district to make things better.
Uh, that sounds very interesting. So, you're not necessarily new to the political scene in general, just new to being held in an office.
Yes, yes, no. This is I'm not new to the political arena by any means. One of the unique things I tell folks about law enforcement is that uh, the bread and butter of law enforcement is serving the community. It's answering those calls for services, being there for people in their time of need. But a byproduct of that service is that you have an opportunity to meet a lot of people, and meet people from every income bracket. They're in every office across the land, and you also get a chance to see how we can address those issues from I think a more common sense approach. Being a boots on the ground type of individual that I've worked in, you get a chance to see again some of the things that really do work. And what tends to happen is I think we have people who represent us that have never really had that experience, that are maybe far removed from that experience. And again, I believe that's something that has allowed me and allows me to continue to work on addressing a lot of the issues that we've had. So again, policing has exposed me to the political arena. I've been appointed to several offices through the governor's office, that have allowed me to work on a lot of state issues. As far as local issues, again, policing, working on a lot of local boards throughout the state, particularly throughout the third district in particular. And again, just this is nothing new to me. Now, running for an elected office, totally brand new to me. But I'm learning something new every day, and we're pushing forward.
It's one thing people don't necessarily think about, but police is generally a very local issue. They try to
Yeah.
make it such a equalized issue across the board, but it's really just such a local thing.
Yes, yes, and again, you're directly connected with the issues that folks are solving. So, and again, it's not hard to correlate, but you see security, you see a well-being of your community. and you see what affects that well-being. Without a firm foundation of security and safety, you can't have good jobs. You can't have a good economy. The education system is affected. So again, it's a behind the scenes perspective, and you see the results, both good and bad, of good policy and legislation directly from the law enforcement perspective.
Yeah. So, I want to ask you. So, you have two other people running against you for the Republican primary for this election. So, what makes you think stands out more above them that the primary voters should vote for you for this election?
Yes. So again, great qualified candidates that are running for office. They offer their perspectives on how we can better make the things better for Kansas, in particular the third district. What sets me apart again is that law enforcement perspective. Having been on the ground, been boots on the ground for over 60, or yeah, a little over 16 years now, of working directly with people again, from all offices, all walks of life. You get a chance to again understand, see firsthand things that work, things that don't work. And I can tell you now what's happening now in our economy, what's happening now from policies and legislation passed down from Washington that affect again our local and state governments is not effective. So again, this is something that I've seen firsthand. Being a graduate from KU, I got my master's in public administration there, and being able to apply that education along with the experiences of law enforcement and also working in Washington D.C. for a year. So I've had a taste of what D.C. looks like. I've seen this large government that needs to be brought down. I've seen the bureaucratic system firsthand. I know how it works. I've seen how it works firsthand. And how do we remove that influence? And then again, policy from seeing how good and effective policy works from Washington, and we've seen now over the last 2 years, 2.5 years now, what bad policy does, and it puts us in a position where again I'm a father of four, and so when I go to that grocery store and I'm seeing how much groceries cost me two years ago to where they are now, and I'm blessed with a decent paying job, but it makes me think about those families out there that aren't as blessed as I am. When we look at our retirement accounts and those who are on that who have served and worked all their lives, and seeing how the markets have declined over the years, and how how are they going to make ends meet when they retire? Then again, just the opportunities that are out there for us as Americans, for Kansas and particularly those in the third district. What things from this current administration, from our legislative body in Congress, again, these policies have just been tearing and wearing away at us over the last few years. Again, I've seen that firsthand. I've been working on great policy, both from a law enforcement perspective and also just from policies and from DC and from the executive branch. These are experiences that no other candidate has that I do. And then again, just a passion and a desire to serve. I don't knock anyone else's passion or desire, but I do know where my heart is at, and it's genuinely is for serving. I'm not a person that looks to be a career politician. If anything, I've been a lifelong advocate for those, and a desire to continue to be that advocate and desire to be that voice. So you're not looking at someone who wants to be a career politician. I'm a big proponent of term limits, but I do know where my heart is at, is to serve in a new capacity with the experiences that I have, and I believe I do have a lot to offer.
That sounds very good. So, assuming you do make it through the primary, what makes you believe that you would be able to flip this district red from being a heavy blue district during last year's midterms?
Yeah. Well, that's a great question, and that's something that a lot of strategists are looking into. I personally believe that a lot of folks they're just tired. They're tired of politics as usual. They're tired of turning on the news and seeing all the negativity that has come through Washington. A lot of the things a lot of the issues that we're seeing at the local level, as far as crime and violence in our economy, and just the plethora of things that can be kind of a Debbie Downer in a way. For me, my desire is to be as relational as possible, be as understanding as possible, and meeting people where they're at. I'm not coming from a place or position where I know all and can solve all the issues, but I do want to find that middle ground, those areas where we can find an agreement and work in those areas that we can build up. think a commonality amongst all folks, red or blue, or wherever you are, we want the best economy for our families. We want to be able to afford a home, and that's one of the great things about Kansas and the third district in particular is that we're proud of what we are able to achieve through our jobs, through our professions, providing a great place for our families, great schools where they're going to learn and be productive members themselves. And so these are the things that I've heard throughout the third district that are priority of the third district. So again, we don't want to be paying again these high prices for food. We want to be able to afford our homes. We want we want less government. And so these are areas that I believe that we can all find a common agreement upon and work on that. And so that's something that I'll be striving to do both through the primary and then after the primary and the general election is meeting people where they're at, knowing that you're going to have an advocate in Washington, D.C. that's genuinely standing for you and with you and addressing the issues of the third district and throughout the state of Kansas.
Well, I think you pretty much answered the question of what are your priorities going to be.
Yes. So the priorities, yeah. I'm sorry,
but what kind of legislation would you propose to be able to put those priorities into action?
Yeah. So again, no country, and we've seen this over the last few years. The prior administration was really good for establishing a border, establishing some sense of structure, both physical and literal terms of some type of structure when it comes to our southern border. We need to look at how we can go back to reevaluate some of these policies that were overturned by this administration. I am a big fan of America First. I tell folks all the time that if you are no good to yourself, you can be no good to your family, you can be no good to your spouse, your children, your workplace if you don't take care of home. And that goes to America. We can be no good to any other country across this world that may rely on us for resources if we're not good to ourselves. So if we're not energy independent, if we're not for securing our border, if we're not ensuring that threats from afar or foreign threats are taking away from what we have here, then we can be no good when Israel's under attack. We can be no good to Ukraine in addressing their issues with Russia or any other foreign interest that we may have. And so my biggest priority really is it comes to our nation's security and well-being, addressing the issues of drugs that have proliferated at the southern border and ended up in Kansas. Of all places, Kansas, you think, but a lot of folks aren't aware that Kansas has two major thoroughfares. That's the I-70 corridor and I-35 corridor. I-70 goes from east to west, I-35 north to south. And so Kansas tends to land up a place where a lot of drugs have come through, a lot of trafficking of children and women. Unfortunately, there is that presence there. The cartel, their presence is here as well. And these are things that we have to address here in the third district. Education, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a father of four, and I want to ensure that on top of what we are doing as parents for our children is working here at home, but when they are in the school district, I want to make sure that they are that children across the third district are getting the best quality education that they can get, and ensuring that when they do graduate from their primary educator, the primary set of grades, K through 12, that they're going to be well equipped and qualified to either go into college, go and grab a trade, go into the armed services. That's something we've all talked about here, at least with our children, is that hey, there is a plethora of things you can get into. Go out, be productive, and work on those things. I'm also a proponent of parents having a bigger say, local communities having a bigger say as to what their education system looks like. What we value here in Kansas is not what other states value, and so let parents have a greater say in regards to where their children go and what their children learn. And so that's the second big priority. Another big priority for me is of course, our economy. We didn't see this big dip in our economy until this administration came in and began to pull back on what was done in the previous administration. I say we go back and we look at those policies. Let's make them bigger, better, and stronger than what they were before. They worked for America. They were working for America until we came in and withdrew those things, redrew those things. Another big area for me is agriculture. Kansas is known for its manufacturing and agriculture. Manufacturing is growing, and we have a lot to offer. There's billions of dollars being produced in our GDP every year in manufacturing, but we cannot forget about our agriculture, our land. That's something that we have to make sure that it's protected from foreign interest. I believe I saw an article the other day where the Arkansas governor They worked on removing, I believe China, some type of China, and I'm not as well versed in this, but they removed a piece of land from the ownership of China. China is one of our biggest enemies. I call it as I see it when it comes to some of their interests. They're not looking out for our best interest. And so ensuring that the land that we do have um, is ours, is well taken care of, and we know what to do with it best. Let's remove the government intervention regulation so that our farmers, who are well equipped and well knowledgeable on how to farm their land, and ensure that we are not only exporting goods, but taking care of our own. So those are the big areas that I'm focusing on and looking at pushing policy and legislations in, reducing the size of federal government, reducing its influence on education, on agriculture, and ensuring that we have a safe place to raise our families, and that those are just the basic necessities that we as Americans have established and do expect from our government.
Yeah. Well, that sounds very good. And onto your China buying land part. Now, I live here in Florida, and DeSantis signed a law in Florida about a year ago banning China from buying land here in Florida.
That's great. That's great. That's great. Yeah, I mean, there are some. I will acknowledge that there are times when working with foreign interests are in the best interest of all those involved. But we've seen and we know what China's ultimate goal is to become the world dominant power. And um, by them coming in and being insidious in how they've purchased up lands from other countries, I've read articles about how they've purchased lands from Africa and have made these horrible deals where it's borderline slavery again, where where China is paying them next to nothing to mine these fields and working into just again just setting up horrible working conditions and taking over land from China, and again things that are unacceptable. And so, as long as I believe we have the right means, we have the right people in place at the local and state level to address these issues, and the support that we need from Washington is empowering us and making sure that these foreign interests cannot come in and manipulate and take advantage of the hardworking people that are they're living and again working here in the state of Kansas, in particular the third district.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that all sounds very good. Well, that's about all I have for this interview. So, well, I wish you very good luck on that campaign, and I hope to see you in Congress next year.
Great, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, and I look forward to seeing you around as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a good day, and everybody should always remember to go to vote.
Yes, yes. If you've not registered to vote, please register to vote. If you've got family or friends that haven't registered to vote, again, understand that at times it is one of the most dismal places to be looking into is Washington, your local politics, the state level politics. I get it, but also understand that we cannot make this thing better. We cannot make a change until we are invested and involved. And so voting. Um, Many people have fought for, lost their lives in order for us to be able to have a say and a change in how we're represented. And so this is an opportunity for us to make a change by registering to vote and encouraging others to register and vote. So great message there.
Yep. All right. So hope to see you win next year.
All right, great. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Take care.
Okay. Thank you. You too.
Bye.